Nigeria Securities Printing and Minting Company ready to print the Gambian dalasi. Average prices of petrol, cooking gas and others increased by 29.61% in the month of May. The World Bank says inflation is crippling the Nigerian economy and increasing poverty as crude oil prices drop by 1%, pressured by stronger US dollar. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Leah Katun Babatunde. The Managing Director of the Nigeria Security Printing and Minting Company PLC, Abbas Masanawa, has reiterated the company's readiness to print the Gambian currency, the dalasi, when the collaboration between the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) and the Central Bank of the Gambia is finalized. Masanawa, who gave the assurance while receiving the delegation of the Gambia led by the governor of that bank, informed them that the company has the capability in its factories to print currencies, security documents, and provide a wide range of digital security solutions that are much easier, safer, cheaper, and faster for the Gambia. He particularly lauded the proposed partnership as a major boost for the African continent and posited that the success of the collaboration would set a good precedent for other African countries to follow suit. The Mint Currency Division has the capability and capacity to deliver the entire life cycle of currency production. Now, crude oil prices fell on Thursday, pressured by a stronger US dollar, but losses were limited by a big drop in crude oil inventories in the United States, the world's top oil consumer. Brent crude oil futures dropped by 1% to $73.65 a barrel, nearing $75 after reaching its highest since April 2019 in the previous session. U.S. crude oil futures also fell by 1% to $71.46 a barrel after reaching its highest since October 2018 on Wednesday. Analysts expect prices to still head towards $75 before the close of trade this Thursday. Now, average price paid by consumers for premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, increased by 29.61% year-on-year and month-on-month by 1.01% to 168 naira 6 kobo in May 2021 from 166 naira 38 kobo in April 2021. Latest report by the National Bureau of Statistics shows that states with the highest average price of premium motor spirits were Lagos, Benue, and Ebonyi states, while states with the lowest average of prices were Gombe, Borno, and Zamfara. Nigeria's crude oil palm imports from Malaysia, the world's second largest producer, has declined by 20.6% year-on-year as local production rises on increased investment. Latest data from Malaysian Palm Oil Council shows Nigeria crude oil palm import from Malaysia declined by 95,621% in the first 21 metric tons in the first 4 months of 2020 to 75,948 metric tons in the same period. Experts say the sharp drop can be attributed to the ongoing massive investment by plantation owners in the country, boosting local production in the last 5 years. Now, still on commodities, prices of most agri-commodities rise as China is set this Thursday to issue new rules on the management of price indexes for key commodities and services. Let's see the prices. Bank recently released its projections for Nigeria and reviewed the growth to 1.8% from the initial 1.2% it predicted early in the year. Now, early this week, a lot more came up as well at the presentation of the June Nigeria Development Update Report tagged Resilience Through Reforms. It was a sobering session as the information permeated across all platforms, and of course, rising inflation, unemployment and soaring food prices have combined to draw back on the recovery path of the economy. The Washington-based lender advised policymakers to ensure deep reforms that can guarantee faster pace of growth to align with population expansion. Now, to gain some insights into this report, I have with me Dr. Umar Danladi Mohammed. He is an associate professor of management and the acting director, University of Abuja Business School. So glad to have you on the program.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. So, the identified risk. We had inflation, rising costs, and of course, rising food prices, fueled by security. How would you assess this?
From 2016 to 17, our inflation digit is around 17.33%. with a steady rise in 2017 to 17.78%. It's as high as that because of what happened during the pandemic. Now, the issues mainly surrounds around the food prices, which is the main thing or the main item in the inflation basket. And little did we know that anything like that will come. We were not prepared at all.
So we got caught unawares.
Unawares.
Now, how vital is food when we're looking at the inflation basket? How vital is food?
Well, it's something you can't do without. And of course, from the household, food you can't avoid. You must eat no matter what, under whatever circumstance and condition, you must eat. And so you give it a priority. And because of that, coupled with the pandemic, the demand was so high and the supply so little because we were all locked in our houses. Nobody was going to the farm, nobody was going to the market, nobody. All the chain you can think of to bring that food to the market or wherever is all shut.
Now, the World Bank also made some observations that had to do with having, because of all these circumstances, many people dropped into abject poverty, about 7 million just in the year 2020, and of course we're seeing some issues around having to put reforms in place to increase income. Some of those reforms that were mentioned by the World Bank, for instance, were about taxes. What would you be telling us about improving? Is it generation now or the collection that is the issue we have?
Well, let me start this way. For taxes, we know that in Nigeria, the single source of our revenue or income is just the oil. And we cannot continue like that because recently the oil prices have fallen. And the next thing to think of is the IGR, the internally generated revenue. From what we know, to be able to get substantial income or revenue from this source, certain measures must be put in place in order to get increase substantially of your internally generated revenue. Now let me take it this way, that for you to do that, to have that increase, you need to have tax consultants, the ones that will be faithful, especially to our own national economic objectives, not the ones that would go backward again and start aiding and abating what will now, I will term fraud. You have to get these consultants that are ready and willing to do their work to increase taxes. Now, one other way of doing that is you look for other revenue sources, also sustaining and improving your revenue base. Again, you look for, you use parameters that will give you extra income other than the over-reliance of Nigeria on the oil.
So, can I just cut you in there as well, talking about getting Nigeria to reduce reliance on oil income and, of course, getting other sectors to be viable. Now, how can we marry our growth pace as a nation with the population growth now, the economic growth and the population growth, to see that we grow at par?
That is a very difficult one. I think from our own figure now, we are close to 200 plus million. And the resource is finite. You have the same resource for this increase in population. And so there's little or nothing left for you to pursue that economic growth. Because everything, people, because of the population expulsion, a lot of people now, the number of persons we have in Nigeria increase. And also, you find people moving in from maybe our neighbors, West African countries, coming into Nigeria because of one reason or the other. All this pressure on the population, of course, will have a replica effect on the small resources that is available to us. Now, to say you want to see how this increase in population can be married to the resources we have, unless we take other measures. Say, for instance, when we were all at home, we were just a lot of you discover that the birth rate that time, or still now, was in the increase. Then you also have I don't have any statistics by medical statistics to support this point, but I know that the birth rate was more than the death rate. And so I will want to suggest that maybe you give a woman work, because if you look at practically working women, you see just a woman that is working with just a child or two, but these women that sit at home, mostly you find them with that high number of children because they are not doing anything.
So we need to control the birth rates,
yes,
and up
yes,
the production
yes,
of the GDP size.
Yes.
Thank you very much
Okay.
for coming on the program. I've been speaking with Dr. Mohammed. He's of the Abuja Business School. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Now let's move on to our Surviving COVID-19 series. Disruption of livelihoods by the pandemic is the most significant the world has faced in so many years. Ibrahim Adamu, an artisan, is one of the millions of survival stories. He shared his with Bossday Abel.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
He has the skill, he has the talent. Ibrahim Adamu, an artisan, is a wristwatch repairer who has been in the business for over 10 years now. He said staying at home was one of the biggest challenges he encountered at the heat of the pandemic.
So that time we don't suffer small. We don't suffer, no be small thing. Because this market now we take manage, buy food, buy everything where we take supplies with our family, they enjoy me small. So that time we don't suffer. Last year we don't tire. We know how we go do that time. And now everything they come small, inshallah.
Ibrahim tells how the outbreak of COVID-19 affected his kind of business, restricted him from having one-on-one contact with his customers, and also affected the daily income from his handiwork.
Sometimes we go get customer when they come. Sometimes come out and they come one by one. They manage them. Sometimes battery original one they fix them 1,000. Where they fix them. Sometimes some people, say some people they different. We they repair them 500 naira, 700 naira. That is the thing where they offer that.
While it was a difficult period, it also had a silver lining. As Ibrahim said, he was able to perfect his skill and also learn how to fix other sensitive components in wristwatches and calculators while he was indoors. According to him, his desire at the moment is to strive and make up for those lost times and expand his business.
Calculator they lose them, we go check them. If your battery die, we go repair them. If you know battery bad die, we go tell the person say this battery, the digital water where they work them, you don't die. If you drink the water now, you know go on again. Now, inshallah, anyone where you pass me, my guy there inside, now I go meet.
So now you enjoy the work?
I enjoy my gassia, no be small thing.
The breakout and effect of the pandemic has kept artisans like Ibrahim Adamu on their toes, even as the economy continues the recovery process. Bossday Abel, Business Express.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
And in other business developments, the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, says all NYSC ventures would now operate as business entities. NYSC Director General Brigadier General Shuaib Ibrahim stated these at the Farms and Ventures Managers Training Workshop with the theme Repositioning the NYSC Ventures for Enhanced Revenue Drive, while noting that the management will closely monitor the activities of these ventures and will be uncompromising in its desire to maximize return on investment. Brigadier General Shuaib said the NYSC places a high premium on profit making from the ventures.
All NYC ventures are now operating as business entities with high premium placed on profit making. They will also serve as a platform for vocational and entrepreneurial training for core members.
To meet a high percentage of NYC requirements for core members' kits and other orientation needs to generate revenue for the scheme.
Meanwhile, the equities market closed Wednesday's trading session in positive territory as investors gained 29.92 billion naira, halting negative posture. The all-share index climbed 0.15% to close at 38,564.7 basis points in equity capitalization 20.09 trillion naira. 302.7 million shares worth 2.8 billion naira were traded in 4,387 deals. Sterling Bank, Ecobank Trust National Incorporated, and Wema Bank were the most traded shares with a combined value of more than 214 million naira at the end of the day's trading. Cornerstone led 26 gainers as against 20 losers, topped by Abbey Mortgage Bank at the end of the day's session. And those will be the opening figures this morning. Outside the country, stocks futures in Europe opened positive as British fintech firm Wise said on Thursday it will go public in London in what will be the first direct listing of a technology company on the London Stock Exchange. Boste Eber has Global Market Outlook.
Shares in Asia Pacific were mixed on Thursday as investors watched for market reaction after the U.S. Federal Reserve on Wednesday moved up its timeline for rate hikes. The Nikkei fell 0.93% to close at 29,018.33, while Shanghai Composite gained 0.05% to 3,520.17 as at its final hour of trading. European stocks pulled back on Thursday as global markets react to the Federal Reserve signal that rate hikes will come sooner than expected. U.S. stock futures fell in early morning trading on Thursday after the Federal Reserve raised inflation expectations and forecast rate hike as early as 2023. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 97 points. S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq 100 futures also traded in negative territory, while African stocks are yet to post figures for Thursday's trade as at the time of this report. Boss Ebo, Business Express.
After being on the drawing board and delayed by previous administrations, President Muhammadu Buhari has finally flagged off construction work for the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas and LNG Train 7 project in Bonny Island, River State. The Nigeria LNG Train 7 project is expected to boost Nigeria's liquefied natural gas tremendously. Experts say it is crucial to the country's long-term economic stability. Lydia Sampson reports.
The NLNG Train 7, expert says, was stalled due to poor play by previous administrations following the start of construction at Nigeria LNG. With a ceremony presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, the NLNG is set to play a critical role in the realization of the country's decade of gas. The project, costing $10 billion, will create 12,000 direct jobs in addition to 40,000 indirect construction jobs.
The commitments of the federal government of Nigeria to monetize and deepen gas utilization in our country, to increase domestic gas utilization, and of course, ultimately creating value.
I can assure you that we will not relent in our resolve to make gas the major economic driver of our dear nation.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who participated via video conference, reiterates his support for NLNG and its shareholders, especially for proving that a Nigerian company can operate a world-class business.
NLNG has generated 114 billion United States dollars in revenues over the years, 39 billion United States dollars in taxes, 18 billion United States dollars in dividends to the federal government, and 15 billion United States dollars in feed gas purchase.
The 27 project will add around 8 million tons per year of LNG to NLNG, taking the total to around 30 million tons per year. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson.
And on the currency market, the dollar jumped to a near 6-week high after the Federal Reserve brought forward its projections for the first post-pandemic interest rate hikes into 2023. Let's see the exchange rate of the naira against the dollar and other major currencies. With that, we end this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us and also follow up on all episodes on the NTA's YouTube channel, including this one. Business Express returns tomorrow at 3 p.m. My name is Leah Katun. Baba Tunde. Stay safe.